Hey there. Welcome to session 2 of our Getting Started series with Audra Talley. Welcome, Audra.
Hi, it's good to be
Hey.
back.
So today we are going to be talking about the who, the why, and the when of homeschooling as people are getting started on this journey and just kind of discovering if this is something they want to do. I know one of the questions many moms ask are, "Am I even qualified? Am I even able to do this? Am I going to ruin my kids?" And then another question is why? Why would we even want to do this? What would be the benefits of homeschooling? And then lastly, when? When should I start? I know a lot of parents have um, recently experienced what we're all experiencing and have had their kids come home. And as they're discussing homeschool with in their homes, they're wondering, is it too late? I have a middle schooler or I have a fourth grader. Should I have started this from the beginning? Am I too late? Have I missed the bus? So we're going to talk on some of those things today. We're going to let you
Yes.
know that you are qualified, and Audra's going to tell us why, and then we'll go from there. So, Audra, let's dive in. The first question is, am I qualified to homeschool? I don't have a degree. I don't have a certification. Am I even qualified to do this thing?
Well, the simple answer is absolutely yes. If you are a parent with school age children, then you are qualified to teach your children under no matter what, right?
I
You are
love
the
that.
most you are the most capable, the most connected to your children. You understand your children better than anybody else. You are
Absolutely.
absolutely qualified.
Yep. You
Okay.
you do not need a piece of paper to qualify
Nope.
you. You were qualified the day you brought that child home from the hospital. And I think
Absolutely.
sometimes it creeps in that you were qualified to teach your child to eat. You were qualified to teach your child to walk. You were qualified to teach your child to dress and all the things to survive as a human. You were
Yes.
qualified. So it always confuses me why someone thinks all of a sudden at 5 years old, I just became unqualified. But statistics show that that's not true. So will you share that with us, Audra?
Okay, so let's look at the statistics. I know these can be a little dry, but we're going to cover them anyway because for some of us, our brains need numbers, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so there is an organization, a national organization called the National Home Education Research Institute. You'll hear it referred to as the NHERI, and their purpose is to collect data from homeschool families, homeschool test scores, and do an analysis of outcomes based on the parent's education level. I mean, this is one of the many statistical analysis they do. And their analysis shows that, among other things, that the difference between test scores of children whose parents have a parent who is teaching them who is a certified teacher versus a parent who is not a certified teacher is a difference of 3 percentage points. It's
Wow.
a statistical, and I mean, it's statistically inconsequential. I mean, most statistics have a plus or minus of 3 to 5%.
Right.
So it doesn't matter truly whether you have a teacher certification or
It makes
not.
no difference in how children test and their outcome, their academic outcome, whether you are a
Exactly.
certified teacher or not. And I would have to say,
Absolutely.
as a certified teacher, as I was, I almost
Hmm.
felt like it was a bit of a hindrance for me because it was hard to shake that public school mentality and teach to my kids as to who they are. So I would say that there's almost a benefit if you haven't been through that training because you can really teach to what's right in front of you rather than, what you've
Right,
learned. So,
right. And
yeah.
you're not the first homeschool mom with a teacher certification who has shared that exact perspective.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was more of a challenge for me. So what other studies? I mean, I love statistics, but I also think that it's important that homeschool families know this because we're not just, shooting off the hip here. We're not just making this stuff up. There are
Right,
actual statistics that back up what we do. And it might not be important for us as homeschool moms, but for some reason that is important to the world around us. They want
right.
to know, do you have evidence? Do you have statistics? Are there studies that back up what you're doing? And there are more. So will you share more of those with us?
We can cover a few of them. And this kind of goes back to what we talked about in our last session about coming alongside both our peers in the public education system, but also our critics and those who are kind of like,
Right,
really?
right,
We're in a unique position to educate those people and turn those kind of critics or people who question into advocates. And
right,
taking some of this data is a good way to do that.
for sure.
So, one of the things that, again, NHERI the educational background of a parent who chooses to homeschool has virtually no statistical impact on their child's academic performance. And so let's break that down into a few categories here, okay? Home educated student test scores always remain in that 80th to 90th percentile, regardless of the parent's educational background. So students who have parents that are, at least one of which is a college graduate, score in the 87th percentile. So 80 to 90%, that's 87th percentile. Students of parents who have maybe some college and a high school diploma score at about 80%. Students who have a parent who at least graduated from high school scores at the 81st percentile. And get this, okay, this speaks to that parent who maybe didn't even make it through high school, okay, but has a heart and a passion for teaching their kids at home. So listen to this carefully. Students of parents who have not received or completed their high school education, their kids still score in the 79th percentile.
That is incredible. That is so much higher than our public school counterparts. It just is. The statistics show it. So 79th percentile, and that's from parents who did not even complete their high school graduation. That is amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think the reason is for that, Audra?
I think it's parental involvement. I think
Right.
it's a parent who's engaged in teaching their children. And, frankly, I think it speaks to parents who maybe are insecure and are, because of their, high school dropout status,
Right.
they become impassioned to make sure that their children achieve
Right.
better and more than they did. And it shows in the numbers. It's a
It
matter of
absolutely does.
heart.
Yep.
And
These
commitment.
parents have a vested interest in their children's education.
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
not just passing them through grades, and that is an incredible statistic that shows, like you said, the heart of a parent is going to be what helps a child succeed, not their
Absolutely.
academic achievement level. So that is
Exactly.
incredible.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. So what else do
It's
you have for
exciting.
us in this area?
Just to give some context to that, it's interesting that the inverse is true. So if you talk about the public school setting, the opposite is true. Parents, for example, let's say, look at 8th grade math scores.
Okay.
Those show a 63rd percentile for students whose parents are college graduates, whereas 28th percentile for students whose parents did not graduate from high school.
And these are students that are being taught by certified public school teachers. They're not even being taught by their parents.
Right.
And their scores are that much. I mean, that's 28th percentile. That's way down there. Wow.
Right. So if you look at the numbers, so the parent who has not graduated high school, who keeps their children home and teaches them at home, their kids usually score a full 55% higher than a comparably educated in the public school system.
So this really gets rid of all the naysayers, fears that unless you are a certified public teacher or have a college degree that you cannot home educate your children. I mean, the statistics just prove otherwise. So
right.
I think as moms often feel insecure because we want to do the best. And so we allow that to get in our head. But the statistics are showing you, moms and dads, when you have a vested interest in your children, when you love your children, which you do, you are qualified. God qualified you to do this. So turn those voices off and forward we go.
And this is just a small sampling of the statistics that are out there that show that homeschooling is the way to go when it comes to academic achievement, for sure.
That's incredible. So the next question is, that's great. I'm qualified. That's wonderful. But why in the world would I do this? Why would someone homeschool their child? If there is a public school, and I could say a perfectly good public school, but according to the statistics we're seeing, maybe not so much. But if there is a place that will take my child 8 hours a day and educate them for me, why would I keep them home? Obviously, I'm seeing from what you just told me, academically, it's the better way to go. But are there other reasons?
Right. Well, there's a lot of reasons. I know, like for me personally, I love my kids. and we all love our children. And one of the things that for me that goes with that is I want to be with my kids. So that's
Mhm.
one of the major reasons for me personally is
Right.
I love spending time with my kids, and I
Yes.
get them for 18 years, and I want to take advantage of every minute of that. So
Absolutely.
that's my reason. But
Right.
there's a whole host of other reasons that people will homeschool. And let's just talk a few of them. Let's just
Right.
cover the top 6 or so reasons.
Perfect. Yeah.
Um, one of the reasons is we want to transmit family values. Okay.
Mhm.
Sadly, the public school system is very secular. We've taken God out of the equation. We've taken a lot of just basic morality has been removed from our curriculum in our public schools. And
Mhm.
so as parents, we don't necessarily are not okay with that. And so we
Right.
bring our kids home in order to instill in them our moral values.
Right. Right.
Um,
And on that note, no education is neutral. It doesn't
no,
exist. So
no,
wherever you choose to send your children to be educated, whether it's at home, at a public, at a private, it's not neutral. So whatever the belief system of that place is, that will be imprinted on your child. There's no way
absolutely.
around it. So many people choose their child's education based on that. So in keeping them home, you can choose to imprint what you believe and what matters to you
Right.
onto your children.
Right, right, exactly. And another, obviously, we've already covered, more rigorous academics, and kind of within that context is like if your child is particularly interested in a topic, that
Mhm.
rigorous academic is across the board, but it's also topical. So if you have a
Absolutely.
child who's interested in one subject, you can really dive deep into those subjects and really
For sure.
develop those skills.
Right.
A lot of parents like me, the enhanced family relationships. I want
Mhm.
to spend time with my kids. I want my kids to spend time with me and their dad.
Right.
It becomes a family dynamic. It becomes a way of life for us. So that's another of those top 6 reasons people
Right.
homeschool their kids. Um, it also allows us as parents to exert some control over our kids' social interaction,
Mhm.
which again is a huge hot button topic on homeschooling. What about socialization and stuff?
Right. Yeah.
Well, one of homeschool parents is we totally and completely believe in socializing our kids.
Absolutely.
We just want to choose who they're socializing with.
Right, right.
I
And with
mean,
that comes I want my children not to just socialize with children their own age at specific times during the day that they've been allowed to. I
right.
want my children to socially interact with, say, people in their 80s as we learn
Mm-hmm.
history, people at the grocery store as we go to the grocery store, people on the street who may not have homes. I want my children to be able to socially interact with all people, all ages across the board. And that matters to me. And so to
Yes.
homeschool, we are able to socialize in a much broader setting and
Yeah,
honestly much more because it's allotted more than a few minutes a day,
exactly.
and so yeah, I know a lot of families who choose to homeschool simply because of the benefits that we get with socialization.
Exactly. Exactly. Another component is safety.
Mhm.
It's sad to say, but our public school systems in a lot of cities, a lot of states, but even in Idaho, there's problems with bullying. There's problems with kids bringing stuff to school that they
Right.
shouldn't. We're somewhat insulated from massive violence in Idaho,
Right.
but bullying happens,
Yes.
and it happens every
Absolutely.
day. So
So
a
much
lot of the
so that we
reason
have bullying curriculum set into place in our public school.
exactly,
Right.
exactly to address it.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
So yeah, there's just a simple safety component. And then
Right.
there's the special needs.
Mm.
Some of us have kids who are special needs and they cannot get the attention that they need at the school to teach to where they are academically and teach in a way that is beneficial to them. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have gifted kids that
Right.
need more to challenge them and keep them engaged. And so homeschooling allows you to address both elements, both spheres in
Right.
a very customizable way. And so that's another
Absolutely.
reason parents homeschool a lot
Man,
or that's why they
right.
choose to homeschool.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is just a few of the reasons. There's many reasons, and I would just suggest to parents as you're doing this, sit down with your husband or wife, sit down with your kids and write out the reasons you're doing this, the why
Yes.
that you're
Yes.
homeschooling because there will be hard moments as there is with anything and you can go back to those foundational reasons that you're doing this and it will bring you
Yes.
back to the point of that you made that decision and it will help kind of keep you on a firm foundation.
Exactly.
So, and there's
Exactly.
many more whys. Right now we're seeing a huge why is it's very unknown what our kids are going back to this fall. Parents don't
Yep.
know and
Yep.
they're not sure they want to send them back with all these unknowns. So whatever
Exactly.
your reason is for homeschooling, you can do it. It's a blessing. It's a benefit to your family. So to
Yes.
follow up on those, so when can we start homeschooling? Most people say, well, if you start right off the bat, but is it ever too late to start?
No. Are
Okay.
you sensing a pattern here? There's
Yeah.
a lot of no's, right?
Yes. I'm
It is
sensing that you do what works for your family, for your children, and for what's best in general, and that's
yes.
incredible. There is no in the box when it comes to our children, our families, and our schooling.
Exactly, exactly. So there's no too early, no too late. I know there are parents out there who the minute they hold their kids in their arms, they're like, I'm going to homeschool my children no matter what. And then there's
Right.
parents who kind of fall into it a little bit later, as their kids are in middle school and they just
Right.
kind of fall into it because of circumstances. And then there's parents who have a freshman or a sophomore in high school and they're not liking what they're seeing
Right. Right.
that opt to homeschool. So there's no too soon or too late. Right now is the right time to
Right.
start homeschooling your kids. And it's doable at any age.
That is so encouraging. And for those of you that worry about the high school years, we will have a session and address some of that because you also can homeschool high school, and in fact, it's an incredible blessing. So
Mm-hmm.
stay tuned for that one. It's coming. Well, that's exciting. I think
Yeah.
that gives parents a lot of peace, a lot of confidence to know that we are equipped, that we can do this, and
Yes.
quite honestly, we can do this better because they're our kids and we're able.
Truly.
So it's not that you can do this, it's that you can do this better.
Yep.
And it's never too late, it's never too early, and know your why because that's going to be what carries you through. So thanks,
Absolutely.
Audra, for today.
Sure.
If you've missed any of the sessions, they're over on our Homeschool Idaho YouTube channel. Check there. All 10 sessions will be posted there when we're done. Share these with your friends. They are standalone or they can be all sent together. Share these with people who have questions or are entertaining the idea of homeschool. We want to be there to support you, to encourage you. Head over to homeschoolidaho.org where you'll get more resources
Mm-hmm.
and more information. And come back and join us for more. Thanks again, Audra.
Yep. We'll talk to you later.